What's up, all my Ewoks, tribbles, and droids? It's Anna, also known as that Star Wars girl, and welcome to my Q&A video for the month of February. But it's a very, very unique Q&A video because it's on today. It's February 29th. This is the day that only comes around every 4 years. So happy leap year to everyone. I am celebrating it in Twitter prison because I got put in Twitter prison. I did a no-no on Twitter. I had a joke with my friend, and I was on this little hype yesterday. If you watched my video from yesterday, a lot of people were confused. They were like calling me a chipmunk. They said I sucked helium because it was just a 42-second video of me going off on Ryan Johnson, and it was sped up because yesterday this magical thing happened, which was my new Twitter persona, which is Hoes Be Crazy. And that's the name of a video series that I did on Twitter, which was Hoes Be Crazy, because they be crazy sometimes, like Ryan Johnson, like other people in Twitter. So I made a joke just between me and my friend, and it was one of the replies to a tweet, and it was just me and the person that were talking were just joking back and forth. And so one of my lovely stalkers, which I have a few of them, that they like to block me on Twitter, and then they like to just constantly talk shit about me and take screenshots from my videos and live streams and other tweets, and they just spend their entire life basically talking shit about me online and then waiting for me to post something so that they can go and flag it. And one of them got through because I don't have my blue check mark on Twitter yet. I've been trying to get it, so that way when stuff like this happens, when my stalkers that have me blocked so I can't report them, or I can't defend myself, come after me like this, it makes it hard when it's only a bot that is assisting me, whereas when it's a blue check mark, I actually get a real person to assist me. And also it stops from all the troll accounts that use pictures that either are mine or look like me, and then they have names that are like mine and they pretend to be me, and then they interact with people pretending to be me. So if I had that, which is like the evil blue Twitter mark, but it would actually be helpful in situations like this. So until then, I am in Twitter prison, which means I have more time to do videos and live streams because I'm not getting into it with people on Twitter. But it's important to build yourself on different platforms, which is why I'm talking about it now. But anyways, let's get into the Q&A video, because guess what? A lot of stuff happened this month. A lot. There was a lot of Star Wars news. The Clone Wars came back. They announced the big High Republic, project that they're going to be doing. And, some big changes happening at Disney, which is Bob Iger announced that he's going to no longer be the CEO or the president, that he's going to be a chairperson. And after December 31st, 2021, he is no longer going to be working for Disney. So a lot of news dropped, which is going to be very important to cover, and I'm going to be covering it as everything, just dispenses into the universe. So with that being said, let's get right into this Q&A. And I just want everyone to know, the way I get these questions is I have an Instagram account, and on this Instagram, usually the last week of the month, I put up a questionnaire, or here's the little box, ask me whatever question you want. And so I don't change the grammar to fix anything, and I understand there are people from different parts of the world that don't really understand either English spelling or the way that we use grammar in America. So I don't change any of that. That way the people that watch this know that I use their question. So it's verbatim what I was asked. So that's how, if you want to have one of your questions get asked, that's a way to do it, is to follow me on Instagram. And when I do the little, the little question thing on my story, that's how you will be able to, be up in the running for me picking your question. With that being said, let's get right into them, because there was a lot of good questions this month. Are you watching the new Clone Wars? So as of right now, I haven't watched the new episodes yet, but I am going to. It's just a matter of making time in my schedule to watch them. But that is on my list. It's actually number one on my list. After I'm done with this, I will probably be watching it today. Views on High Republic. So with the High Republic area, I haven't looked too much into it. I saw all of the news that got dropped on Twitter about the pictures of the books and how there's going to be all these novels. And for those of you that aren't aware, they announced that there's going to be this new series of comics and books and potentially films on this era of Star Wars called the High Republic. This is supposed to be, I believe, 200 years before the Clone Wars and, before, basically before episode 1, the Phantom Menace. So when I heard that, I was like, all right, so it's just a bunch of Jedi before, the Phantom Menace, before Darth Maul and, Darth Plagueis and all that. All right, cool. And, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm kind of neutral. The idea of it isn't as interesting to me as something like KOTOR, just because what the buildup is going to be. As for like KOTOR, it's like you got thousands of years in between when Darth Sidious comes and Order 66 and then Darth Vader and all of that, and then you have the sequel era, which not Disney sequel era, because that's fucking bullshit. That's not Star Wars. After that, all the cool stuff that happened. So I'm like, maybe depending on what part of the galaxy you're in, who's writing it, and who the characters are. But from what I've seen from that, there was this image that went around of this little checklist for what they wanted on it. If they go off of that checklist, I don't have any hope for it. But on paper, it could be good, but I don't know enough yet for me to be fully invested and fully interested in it. And based on what we've gotten so far from Disney Star Wars, I'm not too optimistic. Are there any aspects of Disney Star Wars movies, shows you like, i.e. music, graphics? Baby Yoda! Oh, I love him. I love him so much. He's so cute. And baby, he's so cute. Oh, my heart. Yes, I love Baby Yoda. That was the best thing to the universe. I don't care if you think he's canon breaking. I don't care. He's whatever fucking unidentified species Yoda is, my brain can make up for, and he's completely different than Rey, so people that say, oh, well, he's a Mary Sue just like Rey. No, don't give me that fucking bullshit. Maybe he's like a fucking child prodigy, and he's the fucking same species as Yoda. There's something mysterious about those species. Maybe their species is like one with the Force and the embodiment of this Force, and freaking, they're the most gifted things in the Force, because the only time we've ever seen Yoda species is Yoda, and then Laddle, which was another Yoda species, the girl one that was on the Jedi Council. So the only ones we've seen have been Force users. I can make exceptions, and they're fucking cute. That gets me. I don't need much in life. It's fucking cute. I don't like the show The Mandalorian. Maybe not like is too hard of a word there, because there's stuff about it that I like, meaning Baby Yoda, but the writing is just god fucking awful. If they got better writers and made it look more realistic, because right now it's too shiny and new, I could get on board, but as of right now, it's not my favorite. But also, for those of you that aren't unaware, I used to watch Star Wars Resistance, and I used to do reviews on Star Wars Resistance. There was a character in Star Wars Resistance that I liked out of all of them. I thought she was a really good character. She was well written. She wasn't SJW, none of that. She was just a character that I think fit very well within the Star Wars universe, and it made sense that she was the way that she was. And she had flaws, she had struggles, she actually had a bit of a little redemption arc to where she was a pirate, a bad person, but that was just her job. She was it was the circumstances of how she could survive, and you see her actually have this arc where she's like, I have to do this because it's my job, but at the same time I'm actually a good person, and these are kind of like my friends. It was very reminiscent of Han Solo. Whoever wrote this character was they knew what they were doing, and that was the character Sonara. She was a very good character in Star Wars Resistance. The show was absolute shit, but she was a very good character, and I liked her. I actually bought the action figure of her. So that's the only time I've given Disney money for, merchandise on one of the characters that they have created. Do you think anything can turn Star Wars around and fix the damage done? Yes, I think that anything can be turned around, and kind of like the whole little arc of, you can, burst into flames like a phoenix, but then you'll always rise from the ashes. So right now we're at the ashes, and it just, if you set your mind to it, like us as a human, us as the, entire human species, if you set your mind to something, you can do it. And if your heart is in it, you can do it. If somebody were to come and take over Star Wars and their heart was in the right place, they, saw the damage that had been done and it was their goal to fix it, humans can do incredible things, and I think that it can be fixed. As far as damage being done, I think the only way to do that is to, in some way, shape, or form, retcon it, or just say that none of that existed. Like, just whoever comes in and say, hey, this was bullshit, none of it happened. We're starting fresh, we're starting new. And I've seen that happen with many franchises where they're just like, we're going to ignore it, we're going to pretend like none of these movies came before. The one that's coming to the top of my head is that the Halloween movie that came out with Jamie Lee Curtis, the new one, and how it just ignored the ones from the past. And I think that pissed off a lot of people. I don't know, personally, I'm not a horror fan. I'm the biggest scaredy cat in the world. I can't watch it. I just get too scared. But I remember, because I have friends that are really big horror fans, and I remember all the buzz that was about that. So it has been done before where they just retcon it, and, the fans get upset, but, like, the media doesn't really say shit. And with what's going on with Star Wars, I don't know if they would get away with, the media not saying shit, but I know the fans would be like, yes, let it happen. Our bodies are ready. So if there's a will, there's a way, and I think if they get the right person, there is a way. Have you done any paintings of the old EU ladies like Jaina Solo or Mara Jade? So I have not yet. Mara is actually on my list, but the thing is, when you have characters that are from books and not necessarily are from films and TV show, it's a little bit more difficult to do and also to sell your work, because everyone has a picture of what they think that person is supposed to look like, and until you see it represented on film, it's always up on the air onto interpretations. I myself, personally, if I had whatever cast from whatever era, and if we had Mark Hamill at the age that he was when he did meet Mara Jade, I honestly think one of the perfect castings would be Emily Blunt. So and this is something that I was planning out, if I were to paint Mara Jade, is I would paint Emily Blunt's face, but with Mara Jade's features, because one of the things that they say in the books is that she has very striking and piercing green eyes, and she's got the flaming hair. So it would be Emily Blunt, kind of in the style, or the Mara's outfit that you see in her action figures. I have one behind me, right here. That's Mara's action figure. So it would be in my style, kind of like how you see right there with the Darth Maul and Hannibal Lecter paintings, but Emily Blunt as Mara Jade. So when I do get around to her, I'm currently painting Qui-Gon right now, painting Qui-Gon, and then when I finish Qui-Gon, I have a Portuguese, the Portuguese cross that's on the symbol of our flag. I need to paint that as well for someone, and then I'm going to be painting Baby Yoda, and then possibly after that Mara Jade. So that's kind of my list on what to expect to come out, and I will be recording all of it, and so you will have videos of me painting all of them, so stay tuned for those. Are you excited for Captain Marvel 2? Meh. 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 After what happened with the first Captain Marvel, I don't know if I want to go through that BS again. And here's the thing. So I've been noticing a trend in my videos is that I keep getting notifications on comments and how these videos are doing well, and they are all of my Captain Marvel videos. And I was like, that was a year ago. It was last February when that all happened. I don't want to go through this shit again. I don't want to deal with this bitch's bullshit. But there's a rumor going around, and I actually think I was the first one to drop this on Twitter. There is a rumor that Henry Cavill might be in the movie, because now that Disney owns Fox and they have the rights to the X-Men, there's a rumor going around that Henry Cavill might be Wolverine, and my uterus, when I read that, it exploded, and I was like, oh my god, my body is ready. Like, oh my god, I don't care what you think about him. I think he's a very beautiful man. He's he's sculpted by the freaking gods. And, he's not usually my type. I'm not really a fan of blue eyes, but holy fuck, that's a beautiful human. Like, if I was his mother, I'd be like, this is my contribution to the world. I know some people, build bridges and, skyscrapers. Some people cure diseases, but I produced Henry Cavill into the world. Like, his mother, oh my god, she deserves, a Nobel Peace Prize or something. Holy shit, that is the genetic fucking lottery. But, yeah, if he's in it, I'm going. Like, just, I didn't go to the theater to watch the first one. I actually still haven't seen it, completed, yet, because I just can't get through it. But, if he's Wolverine, you can say, I saw so many people were saying he's too tall, he's too tall. I get it, Wolverine's short. Listen, I'm a fucking hobbit. Even the short Wolverine is tall to me. They can CG him to be short. I don't care. I want to see him as Wolverine. I want to see it. My body is ready. I am a woman, and I am here saying I will give you my money if I can see Henry Cavill playing Wolverine. I was depressed as hell when Hugh Jackman said he's not going to play him anymore. I'm like, no, to toxic femininity, whatever you want to say, objectifying men. I like to look at him. He also did a fantastic fucking job. And I was really sad. I'm like, I don't care that you're older now, Hugh Jackman. You're still beautiful. You still play the character. You are Wolverine. Henry Cavill, I hated what Zack Snyder did with Superman. That was fucking bullshit. But guess what? Henry Cavill did a great job. He looked like Superman. The Witcher? Oh my god, that show, they could have just called it the Universe show. It was, there's things about it that I'm like, but Henry Cavill did a great fucking job. And guess what? He is a nerd. He likes this shit. And he knows about it. And if you've seen the way that he treats the fans, and he takes criticism so well, because he understands, because he's a fan too. He's like, yo, if it's not, not everyone's gonna be pleased like it, but they're not hating. They're just passionate about the things that they love. Oh my, could you imagine seeing the difference? Like, just the interview aspect of Henry Cavill and the way his approach to things next to Brie Larson. Oh my god, that will really show this bitch's true colors. So, while I don't like Brie Larson, I've seen her be, not the worst actress in certain movies. The 21 Jump Street, where she's Jonah Hill's love interest, which is weird enough already because he's like a full-grown man and she's a teenager. But, she's like kind of like a sarcastic, she's supposed to be the sarcastic, sweet, bitchy girl that Jonah Hill likes, but it's like you like her character because you like Jonah Hill and you want him to get the girl in the end of the movie. But, she's capable of acting a certain way, and she wasn't bad in Endgame. She wasn't, because there wasn't any of that, and she was barely in it, but the scenes that she wasn't that bad, so I feel like the catastrophe that was Captain Marvel 1, even though it made money, they know that they don't have Endgame to save them. Because that was the thing. Captain Marvel came out right before Endgame. The Infinity War, the stones with the Infinity Stones, they left it up that she was going to be the next thing, because who does Samuel L. Jackson call at the end of the movie? He didn't call anyone else. He calls fucking Captain Marvel, so it had this build-up like, oh my god, she's important, she's going to save us from Thanos, we need to watch this movie so that way we can understand Endgame. They don't have that crutch anymore. So I think the draw to this movie, Henry Cavill draws women. I'm saying it right now. I will go watch that damn movie. I didn't know shit about The Witcher. I got the video game, right before the TV series dropped. I watched that whole damn thing twice, because Henry Cavill, he does a good job. I remember the first time I saw Henry Cavill, it was back in like the 2000s when he was in The Count of Monte Cristo, because that is my second favorite movie. When you don't include like Star Wars or, the fan type movies, like fan universe movies. My first favorite movie, Silence of the Lambs. My second favorite movie is The Count of Monte Cristo. And it's it's the remake one, but he's in it. He's the kid in it. And I remember seeing him. And then when he got cast as Superman, I'm like, yo, that's the dude from The Count of Monte Cristo. But, if Henry Cavill's in it, I am down. I will be there opening night for that movie. Who would you like to see write/direct a Star Wars movie? So, I am slightly biased on this one. For those of you that are familiar with my channel, you've been watching for a long time, you'll know I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. And I was actually very excited about the aspect of him doing Star Trek. I think it would be great to see him do something, with the Klingons or the Cardassians, and just the whole aspect of what you could have in this Quentin Tarantino film. I even thought about it at how, if you have the movie Django, but it be like a Bajorn going back and getting revenge on the Cardassians that, were there during the occupation, and it just can be a complete bloodbath at the end, because you're not, enclosed in with the ethics that Starfleet enforces because Bajor isn't part of the Federation, I was like, yeah, let him fucking do that. But as far as Star Wars goes, I'm actually at that point where I'm just like, there is this concept that, I got introduced to in college, which was every single year in the fine art department, the art professors that taught oil painting and, specific, just oil painting, most of them were, focused on like portraiture or, anatomy and stuff like that. But what they would do is there would be a hat, and it had all the professors' names, and each professor had to pick a name out of the hat, and then they would do a portrait of the professor that they got. So when you come into the fine art building and you see the wall of all the professors, each one of them, it's instead of having a picture of themselves, it's an oil painting that was done by another professor. So it's every single one is a very different, unique style. And I thought about this. I'm like, hey, why don't they just say, hey, if anyone wants to direct a Star Wars movie, you guys all have to talk, so that way it's not the same movie. But obviously, they're different humans. They're going to pick different stories. And so let's say, you get somebody like Martin Scorsese, somebody that I said it many times. I'm not a fan of Martin Scorsese. I don't like gangster movies. It's not my thing. But could you imagine Martin Scorsese doing this dramatic, in-depth kind of thing with like the Hutts and the backside? You get to see more in-depth stuff on the Hutts and how they run their gangs and how it works in that universe. But a Martin Scorsese Star Wars film about the Jabba the Hutt, or some of the Hutts and how they rule the outer rim of the galaxy and all the like little minutia within that. Could you imagine how like fucking good that movie would be? And then you get Quentin Tarantino. I honestly thought Quentin Tarantino would have been the perfect guy to direct a Mandalorian movie, with maybe it's not Boba Fett. Maybe Boba Fett had a kid. Maybe Boba Fett was over here, getting with them ladies, having all these babies, and maybe he has a son or a daughter, and the twins. It's fucking Star Wars. Maybe he had twin Mandalorian children that are both fighting over, who's going to honor their father and who's going to take up the mantle, or even who's going to be the next ruler of Mandalore, new Mandalore, since everything that happened with the Mandalorian Wars. Or you could even go back to the KOTOR era and have Quentin Tarantino direct the Mandalorian fucking Wars, but a Quentin Tarantino movie. Do you know how fucking epic that movie would be? Heck, get the guy that wrote the Joker and have him talk about, what it was like for a Jedi that, survived Order 66 and had to go live in, the netherworlds, on the Outer Rim. Get, Woody Allen to direct, I don't know, some weird, a normal human that doesn't have any powers, that's just living on Coruscant, that's like, fuck, my life is miserable, do you want to buy some death sticks? Do you know how fucking good these movies could be if you just open call for anyone? Christopher Nolan, fuck yeah, go write and direct a movie about like some chiss that are plotting to come into this section of the galaxy because they're in the uncharted part of the galaxy and they want to come in and they want to take over fuck the Empire, whatever timeline, whatever period. Just give it to these everyone. Open fucking call. You guys, as long as you guys all talk, you all aren't doing the same thing. Do a fucking Star Wars movie, whatever fucking style you want. Maybe put a limit on it. Maybe okay, it has to be PG-13. That way kids can watch this. Maybe not. Or maybe go ahead, rated R. The adults that were kids when they were young can go watch it now. But stuff like that, it's like, do you know how good it can be? And you can go through all of these different. You look at Star Wars from all these different angles. They want to get normies interested in Star Wars, fucking do it that way. Because I know there's plenty of normies out there that have no interest in a Star Wars movie. But if you told them, hey, Martin Scorsese's directing this movie, but it's, I know, it's aliens, it's, Jabba the Hutt, and people would probably say, oh, grown-up normies? Oh, yeah, I wasn't really into Star Wars, but I loved Martin Scorsese movies. Goodfellas, yeah, that's a great fucking movie. The Irishman, yeah, that's a great fucking movie. And then they're like, oh, yeah, it's like the gang wars and all the mafia or the mob, but it's the Hutts. You can get a normie to go see that. I think it would just be so great to just give an open call to all of these amazing directors, and and they're good. They know what the fuck they're doing. They have the cooks. They have the right connections in Hollywood. If they all said, hey, I need a producer. I need funding for this movie. I'm this director. This is my name. It's gonna go on it. And I feel like they could get it funded, and then they could all, you want Star Wars movies to come out, back to fucking back, and it all be different, and you have the most intense, amazing merchandise for all of this, t-shirts, posters, action figures for all of these characters. fucking gold mine. Will they do it? Of course not. But they should. That's what, if I was in their position, that's honestly something that I would have on the table as a serious consideration. And, you know, as long as they say you have to stay within these parameters, you know what, this is how the Force works. This is, you know, the laws of the galaxy, the laws of the universe, the science behind it. Everything else, you know, do this. Maybe you can't have this character, you can't kill off this character, you can't kill, like, A, B, and C. Everything else, do whatever the fuck you want. Create these characters, do this. You have to, you know about, you know, this character was the Queen of Mandalore. This person was the chancellor of the time. Just little things like that. Give each of them a lore expert, which, you know, there's thousands of them, because, you know, people fucking love Star Wars, and some people are, you know, encyclopedic knowledge of Star Wars, like Ryan Kinnell, like Lethal Lightning. It's like, there's people out there that have this, that would love to do that, and just put out on, you know, LinkedIn, hey, we're looking for a lore expert of Star Wars. You get to go work with Martin, you get to go work with Quentin, you get to work with Todd, you get to work with Ridley, and, you know, just, could you imagine how great that would be? How much amazing Star Wars movies would come out of that? Fucking do it. Disney, full reign, take my fucking idea. I'll probably, brag about it on, you know, Twitter, like, hey, look, they took my idea, yay, bragging rights. But fucking take it. You don't owe me a single thing, just do it. Just do it. Just make good Star Wars movies. That's all I ask for. What is your favorite drawing to do? So I've said this a few times on my channel, but it's very random, but my favorite thing to do is to draw, like, orcs. And I know that sounds silly, but I love World of Warcraft, and I love the whole concept of orcs and the way that they do them. I do it I shouldn't say very different. I do it slightly different. Like, I don't make their noses as intense and their jaws intense, because I make them look a little bit more human-like. Because, I'm sorry, I like things that are pretty. I just do. I think that's just an aspect of me being a girl. I'm a little bit of a girly girl sometimes. Yeah, I can be a tomboy, but at the end of the day, it's like, let me wash my hands, let me, you know, make sure my hair looks okay. And just visually appealing, like that's something that I like. I like things that are visually appealing. And so I'll just take pictures that I find on, like, Google or Pinterest, and then I turn them into orcs. So this was just, I think this is actually on Instagram. It was a gymnast, and she was holding a pole. And then this actually, where because this is a little baby, I actually found a picture on Pinterest of a dad holding their baby like that. And so I just drew it as orcs. I drew it as an orc. And so I even gave her little stretch marks because she had a baby, but she's a she chieftain. And the reason I got actually inspired to draw fem orcs, that female orcs, is because I had the art of World of Warcraft, and there was only one picture of a female orc, and it said in the book that there's not a lot of art of female orcs. And I was like, oh, okay, so there's not that many of them, which means, you know, if I draw it and I post it on the internet, I maybe have a better chance of getting my artwork out there. Especially since I was, like, really campaigning to work for Blizzard, and then I got a little inside scoop of what it's like to work at Blizzard, and I was like, no. But so yeah, so I love drawing orcs, and just female orcs, and this was actually one of my favorite ones to do. This was making a freaking sword, a blacksmith, freaking witch. I love drawing orcs. They're so much fun to do. And, I did the green skin tone on people. Green is usually the hardest color to not just paint with, but also, in markers, and, like, this is Copic markers, and then, pencil. Green is just known as a very difficult color to work with, and so I actually have a lot of fun, and I think I found the right shades of it to do orcs. So yeah, my favorite thing to draw are orcs. What do you think is the biggest hypocrisies of the Jedi? So I think this is one of those instances where the person asking me this question was an American, so they're not familiar too much with, like, proper grammar, which is 100% okay. I understand. Actually, English is actually one of the hardest languages for people to learn, especially if it's not your first language. So I'm completely understanding about that, but I know people nitpick every single video I do, which is why I have to, bring this stuff up and reiterate it. Understand that I don't change the way that people write their things. That way they know exactly when I'm answering their questions from Instagram. So let's get into this question. So the biggest hypocrisy that I think that was one of the rules of the Jedi, I I'm with Anakin on this, and I'm with even, with the bit that I've learned from KOTOR, the whole that you're not allowed to love, and you're not allowed to have people in your life that you care about, aside from unconditional love. And, what Anakin said, where he's just like, well, we're not allowed to, bond, or, but we're allowed to, it's a natural part of being human. And maybe alien species are different, but as far as being a human being, love is a big part of life. And, whether or not just be a romantic love, but, just a friendship, you do get attached to people. And I think Yoda had a good perspective on it. It's that, yes, you have to learn to let go of the ones that you lose. But, you saw whenever, when Order 66 happened and Yoda falls over and he holds his heart because he's so connected to these people, and he's so connected to the Force that he can feel it when they die, and it affects him. So I think, a big problem is that they don't acknowledge it when they do love someone, or, they have to suppress that. And I think that that's a really big weakness, because, just us as human beings, when we try to suppress things that we love and that we care about, it hurts us. And, I feel like that's why, therapy is a really, big profession. But, and especially with what happened with Order 66, I think that if Obi-Wan would have known, if the Jedi Council would have known, yeah, it puts Padme at risk, but I think that they would have been able to see the things that were happening, and Palpatine wouldn't have been able to manipulate Anakin in the way that he did, because Anakin could have said, hey, I'm having these visions of her dying. He could have talked to Obi-Wan about that. He could have talked directly to Yoda about that, and things could have been prevented that happened if people would have known. And as a one of my own things in life is that I find it to be not beneficial when you do, especially when you're working with people, is that I think one of the things that should be out there is that all of the information should be out there. Yeah, people don't need to know what you ate. People don't need to know the intimate details of your romantic life. But I think, people you should be aware, especially when Anakin, when the Force is something that you have to be in tune with. If they would have known about that, and, they could have even, they could have even used Padme's, political power and, political stance to help the Jedi. And, with all the help that they gave her, I'm sure she would have loved to do it. But even when Anakin and her have that scene where she's like, can you talk to the Chancellor because shit's going awry? And he's like, don't ask me to do that. And it was just, I don't know, it's just one of those things that I think it was more, it hurts them more than it helps them. And even, from what I've been playing with KOTOR, and the thing that happened with Bastila and her family, and how she didn't get to say goodbye to her father, and that stuff affects people, and yeah, she was able to reconcile with her mother, but then, with, her marrying Revan and all of that stuff, there are benefits. There's pros and cons to everything, but I think this is more of a con than it is a benefit. I think if a Jedi does find someone and they do love them, and they share their heart and their soul with another person, whether that person be the same species as them or not, because, so I don't know, inter-alien species are a thing in Star Wars because, Twi'leks and, humans and whatnot, whatever, but it's just one of those things that I think it hurts more than it helps. So I think that's something that if they took that out of the picture, it could have, there wouldn't be as many problems that if it did. And if all of the Jedi on the Council would have been aware of Anakin and Padme's relationship. And also, it's like, don't you want more babies? Don't you want more Jedi? Don't you want more Force-sensitive children? That's a thing too. But if they would have known, I think it's one of those things that did play a role in Order 66 happening, and, Palpatine's success, because he was able to manipulate Anakin, because he had that one crucial piece of information that no one else was aware of. And if the Jedi would have known it, they could have seen that the manipulation there, and they could have helped to prevent it. So I think that's one of, the hypocrisies of their way of life and, their rules, which is why whenever people ask me, I'm like, I wouldn't be a Sith. I could not be a Jedi. I couldn't live by those rules. I would have to be a gray Jedi. Do you know any obscure fictional universes you could work for a film TV series? So when Game of Thrones ended, I know a lot of people were saying that, oh, The Witcher is supposed to be the new villain for Game of Thrones, but one of the things that I thought would be great if they did it is, so I'm a huge bookworm. I love to read, and you know, some of the things that I read aren't exactly, you know, they're not science fiction, but you know, I like to read historical fiction. And so one of my, you know, one of the books that I read, and my mother loved this book series, and so it was a way for me to be closer with my mother. But it's one of those things where when you see someone completely change when they start talking about something that they love and they're passionate about, you know, and their entire demeanor, like, it changes, and you can just, it's infectious when you hear someone talk about this. So my mother loved this book series called Earth Children, and one of the main books is the first one is called The Clan of the Cave Bear. And so this book series is about, it's during, you know, the Ice Age, and you know, the later end of the Ice Age, and it's back during the time period when Neanderthals were still alive. And so there was two different types of humans on this earth, and that's you know, one of the only times that that's ever existed. And of course we all know the Neanderthals died off. But so the book follows the story of this girl named Ayla, and Ayla is, you know, she's normal human, Homo sapien like us. And then during this time, the earth was, you know, it's covered in glaciers. There was things going on and lots of earthquakes because, you know, the tectonic plates are changing, all of that stuff. So when she's a very small child, the people that she's with die, you know, they get killed in an earthquake. And, you know, as a child on your own during this very dangerous time for a child to be on their own, she, you know, she wanders through following the water to try to, you know, just going anywhere to try to find, you know, someone to help her, you know, try to find other like grown-ups and, you know, just other humans. And at this point in the world, there weren't a lot of people, you know, and it was very hard. Like, if you're on your own lost in the wilderness, you could go for years and years without running into another human being, and that's just because there weren't that many. And so she's on the brink of death, and she gets rescued by Neanderthals. And obviously not everything is completely historically accurate, but the first book is about her as, you know, a regular human, and she's looked on as one of the others and an outsider. She has to learn their culture, their ways, and this is something in today's society that I think the way that SJWs want to push, misogyny, it's like, this is one of the greatest forms that you can see, where a woman is, she's, you know, then this is a spoiler, this book's been out for, you know, I think over 20 years, but maybe actually even 30 years at this point. But it's older book. I don't know the exact date when it came out, but, you know, she's, you know, beaten as a child in this society. You know, it's all about the men. The women are not allowed to hunt. They're not allowed to do anything except for cook and basically be mothers and have children. And it's in their society, that's what you have to do, and she's different. And, you know, she wants to hunt, she wants to do all these things, and the things that the author did to show that they're different is that they're a different type of human. They don't think the same way that humans do. They're not capable of change, really. And so she, you know, being like us, we're innovative. We want to change. We want to create, you know, new solutions to problems, and they just can't accept that. And so it's her overcoming that. She's beaten. She's raped. She has to, you know, leave her child at the end of the book. Oh my God, my cat is going crazy. And so, but you have to follow her journey, and then, you know, there's more books, and it's just learning about the earth during this ice age, what it's like to survive. And when I watched The Revenant, I was like, this really reminds me of these book series, and I think it would be a great way to show, like, how you can do these fantastical things with no technology, with, you know, not even basic necessities. Like, even if you did, the Renaissance era is way more advanced, obviously, than prehistoric, you know, Ice Age. And then her journey to find other humans like her. So if they did it like Game of Thrones, get the guys that did the Game of Thrones, they need a story. The story is all done, it's all written, they have the story. They could do that, and then follow that, so that they don't have to do any writing, but just make it look good, make it look epic, because there are epic things that happen. That's why, you know, this is it was a bestseller. And go on this journey during this fantastical time. Show us fucking cave lions and, you know, cave bears, because it's the kind of the cave bear. During this time period, saber-tooths are almost, you know, extinct in this. And in the second book, she's like, oh, I got to see one, and it was a really big deal. But, you know, show what this world was like back then. And female protagonist, fucking great ass fucking character, goes through fucking hell to be as badass as she is, and she's, you know, she learns how to be a medicine woman, so she's a doctor during this time when, you know, that's like the best job you can have. They need fucking healers during this time, so she's got one of the highest statuses in this society where, you know, money isn't really a thing, you know, hunters and gatherers and traders and stuff, they haven't even, you know, discovered, you know, farming yet. So, and she, in the books, she's the first one that domesticates a horse. She gets a pet wolf. She has a pet fucking lion in the second book because she's forced to live on her own, and, you know, she takes in these animals because she's so desperate for, you know, a connection with, you know, anything, that she'll take an animal so that way she's not alone. And she spends the entire second book basically by herself until the end. And it's every single book, yet it's like such great things that you could do, and it's all there for you. And the lady that wrote this, the research that she fucking did, oh my god, it's fucking good. And so I think this would be a great, if you couldn't do these in movies, and I know that they tried to with Daryl Hannah, but this is something that I think needs, like, the level of Game of Thrones was as far as, you know, budget and, you know, just fantasticalness that they did with all of that. And you could do it, and it would be fucking epic. So that's what I would have to say on that one. Alright, so that is the end of the Q&A video for the month of February. I hope you all enjoyed it. And again, for those of you, if you want your question to be in the running for one of the 10 questions that I pick for these Q&A videos, follow me on my Instagram, which is that Star Wars girl. You'll know it's me when you get there. And so around the last week of every month, I'll do in the story section of my Instagram, it'll have the little thing that says, you know, ask me a question. And though, you know, everyone can ask their questions. If I answer it on my Instagram story, it's 100% anonymous, so nobody knows if it's you or not. And so I have this big list, and it'll show me all the questions, and I go and I pick the 10 that I would think that be the most interesting to answer on a video. So that is the place to go if you want your question to be up in the running for one of the 10 questions that I pick every month. And so, yes, everyone, if you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, that's okay too. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you click that little bell, that way you get notifications when I do other videos and live streams. Let me know in the comments what you thought. And, you know, I know I said a lot. If you had anything to say about any of the stuff I said, let me know. And until next time, everyone, have a great rest of your day, and may the Force be with you, because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye, everyone. What's up, everyone? It's Anna, also known as that Star Wars girl, and I have an Etsy store, so if you've ever wanted to own a print of my artwork, this is the place to go. As you can see, I have a lot of recognizable characters, from horror films to heroes to Star Wars characters. Some of the notable characters I have on here are Darth Vader, which I did a couple live streams painting, so you can own a print of this painting. I also have Luke Skywalker, the binary sunset version, one of my favorite scenes in the original New Hope movie. I have Darth Maul, which Ray Parks himself actually complimented me on Instagram. And then last but certainly not least, Ahsoka Tano. So if you want to own any of these prints, go right on over to my Etsy store. Again, that's The Art of Anna, that Star Wars girl, or TSWG for short. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. What's up, everyone? I have a P.O. box, so if you want to send me some mail, go ahead and send it to Anna, that Star Wars girl, or TSWG for short, at P.O. Box number 28171, Santa Ana, California, 927998171. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.